and say welcome. March 18th, I taught a Back to Basics class for the colleagues where we spent a couple of hours digging into the Gospel of Cuthbert as a book, housed at the British Library. You can go online and turn the pages one by one and have all the fun doing that. And then we looked at the calligraphy from the Gospel of Cuthbert, which is an uncial hand. It's a simplified uncial, also called upright uncial. This Celtic knot that I did with some of the uncial behind me, canthus on the other side. And it's a great hand. It has become my go-to hand. So, you know, when I'm doing bookmarks at schools or out in the community, I'm going to be using some kind of an uncial. So let me switch to my overhead camera and let's have a look at what we're talking about. So I did put in chat the link to this. So if you need it, if you don't have it from March, you can go out to Google Drive and you can go and poke around, have a look. I also put out in the Google Drive some images from the class from March 18th, just so you can see how I was breaking out the hand and the order of operations. So it's a fat, round, juicy hand. It's wider than it is tall, if you look at the O. And it just gives me oodles of joy. So if we look at the fundamentals of it, it's a 2-4-2 hand. So the base to X height is 4 pen nib widths tall. So if your pen is 2 millimeters, then the height of your letter O will be 2 times 4 is 8 millimeters. The height of your ascenders would be 4 and descenders would be 4 millimeters. 2 times 2, 2 times 2. The pen angle, the angle that you're writing, the lines on your writing is about 27 degrees, which really, I can't compute that. So I go like a third. It's not 45 and it's not really, really flat. The trickiest thing on this hand is the serif. And we looked at that serif in some detail. The Book of Kells, which is an insular manuscript, has a flat serif at the top. This is not it. It's a little bit like a duck beak or the beak of a peacock. And there are 2 ways of making it. There's the, oh my goodness, I have to do this. So I come out 2 pen nib widths. So this line here is 2 pen nib widths. And then I come down and then I pick up my pen and I go up to the top and I bring it down. Or what the scribes did, which was, back up and down. So I'll do that again over here. Come down, little bit of a bend, up, back down. So you get this shape that you can tuck a ball into, and you can keep it much straighter, that it's more of a triangle. Okay. The 27-degree pen angle gives us this sort of semi-flat top. So it becomes really, really elegant. The hand itself is vertical. The letters stand up straight. They're like soldiers. There's no lean. It's not like italics. There's no lean to this alphabet. It's upright and vertical. Your basic strokes, there are not many of them. I call these shapes elephant ears. So we got big elephant ears, little elephant ears, vertical, horizontal, and a diagonal. A reverse diagonal, like they use on the Y and the V, is probably the hardest thing because you want to come to a point. So for some of you, you may find that you are actually turning your pen, and this is going to be closer to a 45 degree. So if it doesn't happen quite that way for you, chill, relax. So my elephant ears, you're going to start at that sort of 11 o'clock position and end down here. And it's thin at the top, fat at the bottom, fat at the top, thin at the bottom. And again, nice and static. No lean, no angle. These things aren't going anywhere. They are chip straight, upright, world's happiest letters. There are some things that I call eyebrows. And here is probably the second trickiest thing in this hand, if you're so inclined, okay? And if you go on the British Library website, you'll see sometimes they do this, sometimes they don't. Once you get there, I'm going to turn my pen so once I get there, I turn my pen, so my pen is now standing upright, and I drop a vertical. Turn my pen to the left and drop a vertical. And the faster you do this, the more you're going to get, the more you're going to get like a little round shape there instead of like here where it's like an angle. And that's just a speed time kind of a thing. So don't sweat it. But it is fun to learn. And it's a little bit of pen manipulation. And if you ever study Batard or Ronde with me, then you get into that whole little right there. You do this little, and it's fun, right? Calligraphy should be fun. So a couple of pointers. Well, here we go. When you're doing your round letters, like your C's, your O's, your D's, M's, Q, make sure that this join is a thin. You see how stubby that is? And make sure they actually connect. Sometimes we like overshoot. Remember that the O is wider than it is tall. It's not skinny. It's not a perfect O. Okay. These D's, this connection should be thin, so don't get it thick. Don't get it like it's leaning over, that it looks like it's got hunched shoulders. We really want that nice thin connector. You can leave a little opening. So if you misfire and you miss it, you can leave a little opening. You'll see there are a couple of those in the book. Your A, the front, and the bowl should line up. This is not a foundational A. This spine is not vertical. It is a diagonal. This V is, this stroke here is that reverse diagonal I was talking about, where you want it to get thinner as you're coming down. And you can add that bend on a W. And the W, the inside of this shape and that shape should be about the same. So when you do it, your strokes are fat stroke, thin stroke, fat stroke, thin stroke. So just remember that. And you want to see that lovely, elegant stroke there. This is wrong because they're all the same thickness and they're not, it just looks like an elephant sat on it, right? It's not elegant. Your X's, watch out for making this crossbar too thick. And your Y, you want to keep that tail nice and thin. The E, there are a number of variations in the Gospel of Cuthbert for an E. This is the one I gave you on the handout because I think it's the most fun. But you've got some others. Sometimes I'll use this modern E, which came out in the 9th century, 300 years after the Gospel of Cuthbert, just because it's easier for a modern audience to read. I always say, whatever you're writing, when it goes up on the wall, your mother shouldn't look at it and go, well, it's very pretty, love, but I don't know what it says. Okay. M's, make sure the two halves are the same size. The Z, this diagonal, you are going to turn your pen a little bit to make that line a little thicker, because this is too thin and it looks like it's just going to collapse, right? You can put a crossbar on it just to give it a bit more weight. Because this, even though we've thickened up this middle stroke, it still looks a little spindly. So there's some thoughts. Let's go write some letters. Did anybody have any letters in specific from the March class that they wanted to be sure we did again? Otherwise, I'm going to run through them at high speed and you're going to stop me and say, do it again, do it again. All right, let's go. We're going to start with our verticals. Okay. So the easiest one is our I. My pen is running out of ink. So 27 degrees, top and bottom. For the modern sensibility, you may want to put something on top of the I. Again, you know, you want it to pass the mother test. Your J, which is a modern interpretation. You can come straight down. I don't do that a whole lot. I tend to put a little bit of a bend on it. It just helps the modern reader understand what I've written. And I'm using a J. Herbin ink, and this little bit at the bottom here is a little bit of gold, and it makes me so happy when I see it. The 1676 or whatever it is inks just gladden my heart. So this is an emerald green fountain pen ink with this shimmer. Isn't that cool? Everybody's got to have shimmer. All right, an L starts out like a really tall I, And when we get to the bottom, we just hang a right and put up a little bit of a bend. The T, you're going to do the crossbar first and make it relatively wide. Don't be scared of it. And then there's two forms of the T. The one just touches the crossbar, and the other one is actually embedded inside of it. The N starts out like a J, whoops, and it has a long leg, which is kind of different. And then there's a diagonal and a vertical. And the goal is those two connect. And sometimes that'll make your head hurt. The F starts out like a J, and then we're going to come back into the stem about just a little above halfway, and we're going to go up and out, and you can drop, and then on the baseline you're going to put a cross. Very pretty F. And it's up to you if you want to put the little drop on it. I like the drops. I want to put drops on everything. And then people think I'm very clever. Any questions about the vertical set? You can just shout your questions out to me. All right, let's do verticals and half rounds. So let's start with our H. Our H starts the same as the L, same as the J, just a real long loop, a long straight stroke. There we go. I think that's straighter. You're going to come into the stem at about the halfway point, and you're going to push up, out, and give me an elephant ear. The P, guess what? Starts like a letter J. Guess what? It acts like a letter H. And then come back and add that stroke in. So an H is a P and a P is an H, just with one stroke less. A U has half the head of a T. And then we're going to put an elephant ear on it. And then we're going to drop a vertical. Sometimes you'll see they did like a letter I. And it does change that internal shape. See how this one looks closed, but this one looks open. They both are found in the manuscript, but I prefer this one. This one starts looking a little cramped to my eye. A Y, there are two forms of the Y, but the half round shape starts out like a U and drop a vertical. Any questions? If you want me to redo something or explain something, just shout. Okay, I'm going to keep going here because this is fun. A bee starts out the same as an I and then goes into a baby L. And then we go little elephant ear, bigger elephant ear. You'll also see some bees in the Book of Cuthbert where it doesn't touch the spine. Let me just we're gonna rescue somebody here. This poor person, I have emailed her the Zoom link, I think 5 times today. And she is still struggling. All right, let me tell her that. All right, I'm back. Okay, bees. A Q started at the like 10 o'clock position. Give yourself an elephant ear. And then this little shape, like on your U. And then we're gonna drop a vertical. You want to have a little triangle down there at the bottom. You guys should have screamed out, hey, Ann, that Q is way too skinny. Okay. Too skinny. Big fat, non-Weight Watchers letters, right? All righty. Any questions on the half rounds? They are fun. And they're elegant and they're swish. Let's do the rounds. So our first one's going to be our letter C. Elephant ear, starting at 10 o'clock. And then an eyebrow and a drop down. Okay. This is a curve. That is a flat. They are different. The G starts out exactly the same as a C And then it has a little backwards leg on it that doesn't go all the way down. And then let's go do an E. Starts at 10 o'clock. There's my E. And then tip your pen and give yourself a line. The other way I do this is I come back. And so this is a little heavier, but I kind of like that. It's like a little flag. And then the D, start at 10 o'clock, up and around. With your mind's eye, ding, 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 go on up. And connect it. You can also do what I call the tadpole D. And I will tell you, there are many a times I just completely miss that join. And I'm like, oh darn, call the calligraphy police. And then your O, elephant ear, elephant ear. That should be thin and that should be thin. Should look like a lemon on the inside. We've kind of included some of the diagonals, but let's get in with our V. So that is a straight line. And this is, it's got to be a little steeper than that. And then here, you can, those are so ugly. Hang on. There we go. See how this one's just like collapsed on the one side, hanging out for a party. And the biggest reason why I'm struggling is my pen angle's completely whacked right now. And you can do it with a straighter line, less of a bend. The W, God dang it, I hate this W. I have to do it fast, otherwise it gets out of whack on me. And then my Y, yeah, the pen just ran out of ink on me. How dare the pen run out of ink on me? Is this one got ink? Yeah, this one's got ink. All right. No more pretty Herban, I'm afraid. I think that ink's got, I think this pen's got brown ink in it. Brown ink. I only practice with pretty ink. I don't practice with black. There's enough pain and misery in the world. I don't need it in my pen. Oh, it's got green in it. Okay, there's our Y. Same kind of a stroke, and just extend it. Any questions on this page? Anything you want me to do again? All right. I'm not seeing anything in chat. Not hearing any voices. Everybody alive out there? Nobody's passed out on me? Okay. Excellent. Excellent. All right. Okay. Let me zoom back in. Okay. K starts out like AJ. You know, I've got to think this pen doesn't have any ink. It looks like it has ink. I think it's lying to me. All right. Normally, I refill my cartridges. I have a syringe and I refill the cartridges, and even though it says when you buy your parallel pen, it says do not refill these cartridges, like, you know, you're gonna get arrested or something. I always refill. I'm not buying that is what I think it is, but oh, that is so not what I think it is. All right, let's do what we normally do. So I have my ink. Oh dear Lord. I am on the struggle bus today. Let's see how much ink I can dump all over me. No. I get these little tiny corks. You can get them at hardware stores. And I normally have all my pens loaded up, and I knew they were loaded up, but boy, was I wrong. All right, where's the guts of the pen? Let's give this another whirl. You go sit over there, Parker. You need to go in my, Anne needs to put me in the sonic cleaner and wash me pile. All right, the K. Let's try this again. And the new ink will start coming through. You're going to do a little sort of half of an elephant ear with a tail. And then a little vertical. What's that thing called? Diagonal. Vertical. An R starts out like a letter J, and then it pretends it's a B, and then you can add a leg. And I'll do a variety of legs on my R's. If it's like the end of a word, I might flatten my pen and give it a little walking leg. Sometimes I don't want that drop down, and I'll do a more Romanesque type R. But I do like the elegance of that drop down. Oh, the X. We didn't do an X. So the X starts out the same as a letter V. And then you eyeball the middle and go a little above it. So eyeball the middle of the stroke and then go a little above it, and you go up in a hook. And then eyeball the middle, go a little below it, and go down in a hook. So it's slightly offset. Okay. And there are many, many times when, you know, those rare occasions when you are doing an X that I do something like that because I forget. And then I go, there's no calligraphy police, I'm fine. I just made up an X. Z, you're going to do that horizontal, like the top of a T. And then if I were to come straight down, I'd have a really thin body. So what I'm going to do is turn my pen ever so slightly to the right. And get a thicker downstroke. That one is borderline too thick. And then if I want to, I can cross it. The A is a diagonal. And then start at like the 1/3 mark in the spine. And you're going to push up, out, around, and back, which you can do with a parallel pen. And that should line up. And then last but not least is an S. So when we think of an S, we think of something that's sort of like that. When we're thinking this S, I want you to think more like that. So the first stroke we're going to do, whoops, is actually the middle stroke. And I don't want this to be horizontal in the middle. It needs to have a little bit of a diagonal, but it's like wide and stretched out. And then you can put a hat on it. And then you can put a bottom on it. So let me do that again. So you're going to start it at 10 o'clock, do little elephant ear, pull it around, elephant ear, put a hat on it, put a foot on it. This one. I can't do these slow, people. There. This one, that's too big. See, they're not lined up nicely. And I think that's the alphabet. Did I miss anything? Anything anybody wants me to do again?
Hi, Anne. It's Meg.
Meg.
Could you do the top part of the I, the J,
Sure.
the L, just that little triangle. I find that very elusive.
So at your 20 degrees, there's one pen nib width, there's two pen nib widths. You can come back. and then go back up to the top and connect it. So if I'm drawing it, there's my one pen stroke. And then here comes my next pen stroke. Okay. Now so that's your construction of it. So you can do stroke number 1, stroke number 2, right? What we think the scribes did, because they didn't want to pick up their pen, they didn't want to do that, pick up and then do number 2. What we think they did, looking at how the ink was laid down, is they came around and then went straight back up and straight back down. So when you see me doing it, I'm doing that because that's quick. So this is the construction. Straight out, you can go straight back, so you're making like a V. And my top line was too thick, so fill it in. Straight down, curl. And do that. Does that help you?
Yes, thanks. Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, it's a lovely shape. And you can do it that it's straight or curled. Anybody needing anything else? It's a great hand. It's really fast to do. The spacing is basically a letter I between the slightly less than an I between the letters. And then a little less than an O between the words. And if you want to do more, do more. If you want to do less, do less. Why? Because there's no Scrabble police. And if anybody says there's Scrabble police, don't listen to them. Anything else I can show you or demo, or else I'm going to give you 10 minutes back so you can have a leg stretch and a roam around, and or just keep practicing here with me. Anything anybody wants me to do? Because I can do this all day. Besides refilling my parallel pen. The handouts are in the Google Drive. I'll put the images from today in the Google Drive in a little bit. At the top of the hour is Lynn Lacey's class, Stitching Letters on Paper. If you didn't go to that this morning, you need to go to that this afternoon. I was almost in tears in one part of it. It's phenomenal. Otherwise, Adventures in Art Trading Cards with Patricia Payoela starts at 4 o'clock Central Time. And those will be our last 2 classes of the day. Then we're all meeting back in the main room for at 5 o'clock to talk about the day. What did you learn? What did you like? What do you want to do more of? What ideas did you have about what you want to learn or could learn? Did you like the format? So bring a beverage of your choice, a snack, because it's been a long day, people. And then at 6 o'clock, our president's going to close us out after 9 hours of just bum, 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 learning, which I think is pretty cool. All right, I'm going to stop this recording. Oh, we got chat. Hang on. All right, great, Colleen, thank you. And if we finish the happy hour early, we finish the happy hour early. So we don't have to force ourselves to stay there till 6. Colleen's going to give us some words at 5:30. All right, where is my recording?